Hey everybody, this is Bill. I am the Salty Old Marine. Today I wanted to talk to you about higher level reviews. What's a higher level review, often called an HLR? When do you want to use one? What are they for? And I can share with you a little bit of experience from a recent HLR that I went through myself for PTSD. So let's dive into it. So when you submit a claim to the VA for disability, eventually, after all the rigmarole and after all the paperwork and after the compensation and pension exam, if you get one, and all that stuff, the VA will issue a decision letter. And in the decision letter, they'll either deny your claim or they will approve your claim and give you a rating, a percentage, right? Like 10% or 50% or 100% or something along those lines. In addition to that, they're going to provide you with information about why they did what they did. So if they deny your claim and say, no, I'm sorry, Salty Old Marine, your claim for service connection for whatever is denied, they will say in there, if you read it, why they denied it. It might be because they couldn't find an in-service event. It may be because they found the in-service event, but they did not find a current diagnosis. Perhaps they found a current diagnosis, but they found no connection between the two. In other words, a nexus. So yes, you have an in-service event. Yes, you have a current diagnosis, but they don't see any connection between the two. So those are all reasons why a claim might get denied. In addition to that, if your claim is approved, it might be approved at a certain percentage, and you may feel that you actually rate a higher percentage, right? And if you have read the 38 CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations for the disability that you applied for, then you already know what the requirements are for each percentage. But regardless of that, the claim letter that you receive, the decision letter, will state in it why you got what you got and why you didn't get the next higher rating. It'll say it very clearly. So you have to read it. Read your decision letter no matter what. Now, let's get to the meat and the potatoes. If you get a denial, you have multiple routes that you can choose to explore in order to fix that. So in other words, you can tell the VA, I want to appeal, I don't think that's right, let's get it correct this time. And the decision letter will state in it what those routes are for appeal. The first route, and the one we're going to talk about, is called an HLR, the higher level review. Another one is called a supplemental claim. And then finally, there is the Board of Veterans Appeals, or BVA. So we're just going to concentrate on the HLR right now. Okay, why would you choose an HLR instead of the other two methods of filing an appeal? An HLR is designed to have a senior official, a senior rater, called a DRO, or a decision review officer, have them take a closer look at your claim. What they will not do is entertain any new evidence. So only what is in your claim now that you've already submitted, that the raters have already looked at, only that information can be examined. So you're just saying, take a fresh look. When you file an HLR, you're allowed to request an informal conference, or you can simply just request the HLR without an informal conference. If you request an HLR with an informal conference, then at a certain point you'll get a phone call. It's not a voice video call, it's just voice. And you'll talk to the DRO, the decision review officer, and you will explain why you think something was missed. So in other words, I was denied, but the information in my claim supported me not being denied. Or I got a rating at this percentage, and I think the 38 CFR and my evidence says that I should have gotten a higher rating, and that's what you do at the HLR. So again, you cannot bring in new evidence. It's strictly for information that was in your claim already, and you believe the VA messed it up. The VA screwed up, and that happens. So here's my experience. I received a disability rating for PTSD of 50%. The decision letter explained exactly why the rater felt that I rated 50% and stated why I did not receive a rating of 70%, which is the next level up. So I did not feel that that was correct. And I looked very carefully at the 38 CFR for mental health, which includes PTSD, and I saw what was required for a 70% rating. And I went, I think that information was already in the claim. Therefore, I filed a higher level review. Now, if there had been information that I wanted to submit and I didn't submit, if I wanted to submit more information, that's a supplemental. Totally different thing. But since we're talking about an HLR, I filed an HLR based upon the evidence that was already in the record. I asked for an informal review, an informal conference. At a certain point, I got a phone call. I talked to the DRO. The DRO introduced herself, explained what she was there for, also explained that no new evidence, right? And I simply read from my prepared notes. I said, I wrote all this stuff down. Do you mind if I just read from my notes? And she said, that's fine. So I did. And I said, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. All of these things support a rating of 70%. All of those things are in my VA therapy records. They are in my C&P exam. I mentioned them to the C&P examiner, and therefore I believe that I should have been more correctly rated at 70%. The whole phone conversation lasted about 10 minutes, even though it was scheduled to go as long as an hour. The rater listened to me, read back to me exactly what I said, almost verbatim, so I know she was listening to me, and said that she would make a decision hopefully within a day, and I'd have a result in a couple of days. And indeed, that's exactly what happened. And the result was in my favor. I received my PTSD increased to 70%, and I received back pay all the way back to the date that I had originally filed the claim for PTSD, because according to the VA's own rules, I should have been rated at 70% all along. They made a mistake, and they acknowledged that they made a mistake. So that was a successful HLR. Not every HLR will be successful. However, from what I understand, it's about a 50% rating. So it's kind of a coin toss, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can go into it unprepared and say, well, it might be 50%. You've still got to be prepared. If the evidence is not there, my friends, then don't bother with the HLR. You're wasting everybody's time. Just file a supplemental and include the information that was not present. However, if you believe that the evidence supports your higher rating or supports a rating and you were denied, and you think that evidence is actually already in the claim, then an HLR is definitely the way to go. It's probably faster. Mine took about, I'm going to say 90 days, but that's not bad, right, compared to a lot of VA claims. So even if the HLR does not go in your favor. Now, let's say that the rater had thought it over and decided, you know what, still does not support 70%. I'm going to leave it at 50%. I still would have had options. At that point, I can pull back, take another look, and file a supplemental with more information, with more data. So had that been the case, that probably would have been the route that I would have taken. Would have taken more time, but as long as you do it within 1 year of the decision letter, not the date you filed, but the date of the decision letter. As long as you file within 1 year of that decision letter, you preserve your original claim date. So this could go on for quite some time, but at the same time, if you eventually win, that back pay will go all the way back to the date you originally filed your claim. And that's pretty nice, right? So although there are many avenues to appeal a claim, the first one, and perhaps the best if your information is already in the claim, is the higher level review, or the HLR. I hope that you found this helpful. I'm Bill. I am the Salty Old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and as always, have a great day.